Welcome to the Startup of the Year podcast, where each episode we showcase exciting new companies from around the world. This podcast is produced by Established, creators of the Startup of the Year program. Established is focused on helping organizations with their innovation, startup, and communication strategies. Thank you to our podcast sponsor, Silicon Valley Bank.
Hello, everybody. It's Frank Gruber. We're back again with the Startup of the Year podcast. It's episode 12. That's right. We've done a dozen of these puppies, and today is going to be a little special. It's different. It's a special episode. I don't have my normal cast of hosts today. I've got just one of them. Everyone's been working very hard as we get ready for our big annual summit, Startup of the Year summit, in a couple weeks. And so no one's been working harder though than Lori Thiel, and she somehow found time today to work with me on this. So welcome, Lori.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm definitely summit fever, getting ready to descend upon Memphis.
Awesome. And we're really focusing today's episode on Memphis and everything that's happening with our Startup of the Year summit down there. So it's only a few weeks out. What do we've got going on? We've got 100 companies that we've vetted down from thousands. You've met and talked to all of them. And they're all excited, right?
Yes. Actually, over the last couple of weeks, we've had lots of big conference calls and getting everybody ready and prepped for the event and making sure that they feel prepared for pitching and competing and matchmaking and all that good stuff. So everyone's excited and ready to rock and roll to Memphis.
And this event is happening October 14th through 16th. It's in downtown Memphis. It's going to be some of it's going to be at AutoZone Park, which is the St. Louis Cardinals AAA ball club. And so we're going to use their park and transform it into our canvas for this entire kind of pitch competition and a lot of other things. What else is going on besides the 100 companies pitching to like 70 judges down there?
Well, it kicks off Monday evening with the beautiful reception looking over the Mississippi River at the Hugh Hotel, who's hosting us. So there'll be some nice fun music and drinks and food to be had and get to know each other, start to know each other. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, we're pretty much taking over AutoZone Park for the programming, the competition, and a lot of really connecting and creating new opportunities between the startups and our list of investors and deal makers to see if they can help the startup along their path to success.
Awesome. And what, a lot of people have been reaching out to me asking me why Memphis this year. We had this in Boston last year, and we had it in
Vegas and
Vegas. We've had it in San Francisco, San Jose. Why Memphis this year? What's the calling for there? And it's their 200 year birthday, right? So
yes,
maybe that is and we basically brought it down there because of that, and it's just an interesting backdrop. You've been down there. What stood out to you the most?
There's a lot of energy and excitement. I mean, there's the great, just as being the heartbeat of music there in Memphis. So much history just with the music there alone. But being the 200th anniversary this year does make it extra special. Also, I think with the rising city of Memphis, gain a lot of attention with what the innovation is going on there is another important reason why we are coming to Memphis and why StartCo. Our partner on this event was welcoming the opportunity to have Startup of the Year highlight even more innovation in the Memphis area on top of all that's been happening over the last year and a half, I think. So
right, yep, so it makes sense. It's a great canvas and backdrop for what we're doing down there, and really trying to build and foster meaningful relationships for these startups, these corporate innovators, these founders, these investors, all converging down there. So Let's talk about some of the other folks that'll be there. We've got a number of global innovators coming down. We've got folks from the NASA iTech program, Intuit, Keurig, which is actually Keurig Dr. Pepper, Techstars, Everfi. What are some of the you're talking to all the companies or all the startups down there? What are they excited about as far as meeting with corporates? What are they hearing? What are you hearing from them?
Well, I want to add a little bit of breaking news if I can.
Okay. We're here to break news. That's my old gig. I used to break news.
Break some news.
Yep.
We were lucky enough yesterday to receive some information from HP, who's actually going to be still looking to come to the summit. But in addition, they are providing prizes to our top 5 and something
awesome.
and something special for the winners. So HP is coming out in a big way to support the startups, and super excited to just share the news that we just got yesterday. And that's in addition.
Amazing.
Yeah, in addition to our amazing partner, American Airlines, who's awarding business extra points, and of course the grand prize of the $100K investment. But wanted to
$100,000. Yep, $100,000 investment. HP, which Hewlett Packard has been in that game for quite some time. They now go by HP, just to kind of keep it shorter for everyone. But yeah, that's super exciting. That's news to me even as we bring this all together. And we've got one of our other partners, American Airlines. They're going to be giving business extra points to some of the winners, the top companies, as well as being on points as well to connect with a lot of the companies and look for interesting innovators that they may be able to work with in some way. They have a lot of promotional opportunities throughout, as they have a lot of flyers in the air, and they've got a lot of different ways to communicate some of the things that some of these folks are doing. So there'll be a lot of great people down there. In the past we had lots of speakers, right? So this is a slight difference and change of direction for us. We're not focused as much on speakers and sitting in a room and listening to speakers. We're more focused on getting people in the hallways and not just the hallways, but different areas and lounges and things like that to connect people one-on-one. Can you talk about some of the things that we're doing this year to make that happen?
Yeah, I think the way we evolved into it this year is that some of the folks that we would normally have as speakers that you might listen to is going to be, the great thing is we're actually going to be able to create connections and have time to do meetings, what we call these matchmaking meetings. And so all of our folks, including the judges that are going to be on the top 5 stage, which normally don't get as much of time because they are very busy folks, but they have committed to the entire summit. So we've got, Worley and Phil Nadell and some of these, just everybody involved in the matchmaking process, and so excited to meet everybody. So there's going to just be lots of intros, see if there's a reason to, further the conversation with investment or partnerships, advisement, et cetera, maybe other people that, they'd want to introduce them to. And so it's just continue to forge ahead and build those connections. The startups are so excited about the list of folks they see that we keep, it's growing every day. I'm adding more and more people, which is exciting. We just added CNN. That's pretty.
Oh yeah, they're there. I just went on the website. So if you go to summit.startupofyear.com and then you go up to the Meet the Judges /matchmakers, you can see the judges, this all-star cast. So you just mentioned William Hurley, or Worley is his nickname, Erica Dunning-Minaham, and Fred Mosler, who was the right hand to Tony Hsieh on Zappos.com, and now he's got his own firm that invests in companies, as well as he has his own company called Ross and Snow, which is an amazing shoe company based out of Las Vegas. You can see all the smiling faces. It's really fun. It brings it to life, right? When you go check out who's going to be there.
It goes on and on. We have Bunker Labs that focuses on veterans. We have the innovation leader from the Department of Veteran Affairs that's joining us. We just have so many great folks that are going to be.
Lisa Mitchell is coming from Kansas City. She used to run a Kauffman Foundation. She was doing a bunch there, and now she's running a couple different accelerator programs at TechStars, one in Kansas City and one in Indianapolis. We've got the head of product for CNN, Rohit Agarwal. I used to work with him at AOL. Actually, he's great. And a number of others. So Kira Blackwell from NASA iTech, and Lakshmi Shenoy from Embark Collective in Tampa. And
our friends at AFWorks.
The list goes on and on.
Yes. And
exactly. AFWorks. Yeah, AFWorks is going to be out. So for those of you that aren't familiar with AFWorks, that's a division that has come out of or spun out of the United States Air Force to help innovate faster. And there's a number of different programs and opportunities for startups to work with the United States Air Force. And some may not realize that the Air Force is one of the largest funders through SBIR open topic contracts. And you could basically get your funding through that as well if it fits some of the criteria that they're looking for. So it makes a lot of sense for them to be there. So we're looking out for all those different opportunities for startups, whether it be with an organization like AFWorks or a corporation like CNN or some of the others. We've got Intuit. We've got others that will be there looking for companies to connect with and potentially do business with.
I also just wanted to say, the South is always so hospitable and welcoming. Just a note that everyone has just been so kind to see where they can support and help. The local Launchpad folks have also been kind enough to host our Fiesta party and be a part of the program. And we just are surrounded by a melting pot of wonderful folks from around the region and around the U.S. because we have folks coming in from California, New York. It's a wonderful melting pot of people that we've got coming. So, and all the startups as well are coming from over 30 states and 3 international and all good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And what about the investor side? We've got a ton of investors coming from all over.
A ton. I don't know if you want me to mention certain ones.
No, it's okay. It's okay. No, I guess people could just check it out on our site. Again, summit.startupofyear.com. You can check out who's going to be there, meet the judges and some of the companies as well. So do you want to talk about the companies at all? I mean, we got to wrap up here shortly, but we have a special guest joining here in a second. We're going to listen in on, but anything else you want to talk about with the startups or anything else happening at the summit?
I think real quickly, we're just always proud to remind folks that we focus on diversity and inclusion. We have over 40% of our co-founders as are females. Over 48% this year minority, 11% veteran founder, co-founder, and 6% LGBTQ. So in addition to just making sure we're doing, working on that diversity number and trying to always one up it each year.
Right.
I just wanted to mention that today we also, breaking news, kicked off the online People's Choice Awards. So if you visit the summit site that you just mentioned, Frank, under Startup of the Year, the menu, you'll find the online polls, and anyone from around the world can go and see our startups and their different categories, and you can vote per category and help these startups win an award for the People's Choice Award.
Wow. That's amazing. I love it.
Yep.
So basically your voice can be heard. I like the applause too, so I'm just going to keep listening to that. But no, your voice can be heard if you like startups and you want to check out the companies. You can go to summit.startupofyear.com//online-polls.
Correct.
And you can go in and vote for all the different categories. They're all listed here. That will be an indicator of the People's Choice Award, and we'll award that at our summit. So that's pretty exciting.
Yes, it is.
Awesome. So much going on.
Yeah.
So much going on. Yeah. And so, all right. So that gives us a good kind of interlude to our next guest, I guess you could say. So as we talked about our summit, it kind of changed this last year. Previously, we had a lot of different speakers. This year, we're going to still have some speakers as we have our finals judges on stage. We're going to be able to introduce them and then also do some Q&A with them, this great cast of investors and thought leaders from around the world. And last year, we welcomed Arlan Hamilton to be a finals judge. And before we jumped on stage to do the judging, we actually got a chance to sit down with her. I got a chance to interview her on stage and talk about some of the things she's been doing at Backstage Capital. So she had, and timing-wise, she had just been on the cover of pretty much every magazine out there, as she's really a force in trying to change the ratio as far as how much investment is going into African-American women, and African-Americans in general, and African-American women as well. And so let's listen in to that conversation I had with Arlan Hamilton.
Love to.
But first, let's hear a word about our sponsor. Can you give it up for Mr. Rich Malloy? Rich.
Absolutely. So today's episode of the Startup of the Year podcast is brought to you by Silicon Valley Bank. And the team at Established, we've been building startup communities for 13 years. And Silicon Valley Bank consistently shows up, adds value, supports startups, and supports their clients. They're more than just bankers. They're mentors, they're advisors, they're super connectors. And we love having the SVB team at our events because they bring a depth of knowledge about startup markets that just doesn't exist from most service providers. And they always treat their founders with respect. And so if you're not banking with Silicon Valley, if you're using, say, a traditional retail bank like the one on the corner, there's nothing wrong with those banks. But if you're using that, a traditional retail bank, and you plan to raise venture capital, you need to bank with SVB. Your retail banker might not even know what the heck venture capital is, but SVB team does this day in and day out. This is their specialty. They've been through the fundraising process with thousands of startups, and they have additional resources to see you through the process and help you succeed. We love SVB, and we're grateful that they're supporting the Startup of the Year podcast. And so visit svb.com/next. to learn more. That's svb.com/next. So Silicon Valley Bank, ideas bank here.
Thank you so much, Rich. Thank you, SVB. We're super excited to be working with you here on the podcast. Now let's listen in to my interview with VC Arlan Hamilton from Backstage Capital from last year's Startup of the Year Summit and Finals.
I also noticed at the same time, though, very, very quickly after that, I noticed that and I saw it in writing, and then I experienced it, that 90% of all venture funding was going to straight white men. And that, I don't know if you've been outside at all, but that's not what the world looks like and what the country looks like. Yeah. And so it didn't make much sense to me. Right. And it also presented a really, really interesting opportunity. And, I didn't go to college. I didn't go a financial route or anything. I've been sort of a mad scientist my whole life. But that was really exciting to me. So I decided to first talk about it a lot. I wrote about it, and I screamed about it, and I tweeted a lot. But tweets don't, pay the bills. So I just thought, if people are not going to really take me seriously, if it's more of a pat on the head or you're doing such a cute thing and a good thing for humanity, if they weren't going to take it seriously in a business way, then really the only way I could be taken seriously is to be someone writing checks, whatever the size. Right. So didn't have any money. Mentioned before I was on food stamps, so I definitely didn't have any money. But I set out to raise money, and for 3 years I pounded on doors and let myself in, and things happened along the way, and then and since then, finally someone said yes in 2015 and got me started, and that someone's Susan Kimberlin. I always say her name, Susan Kimberlin. But since then, the Backstage has grown to nearly 30 employees. Wow. We have invested in more than 100 companies now.
That's amazing.
And all of them are, with the exception of one, is run by a woman, a person of color, or an LGBT founder.
Wow. That's phenomenal. So along those same lines, those first investments are probably not the same as the most recent ones. Can you share a little bit more about how you, when you were first getting going, how did you make those investments and where did you find those companies?
Yeah, I had been, I wasn't fundraising for those full 3 years. I would meet a founder. Yeah. I was in Pearland, Texas, so I would meet a founder, and I was also in Portland for some of it. I would read and I would research, and I did all kinds of a home study. I mean, to a degree I don't know many people would do. And so that would get me kind of fired up, and I would go out and try to raise, and then I would meet a founder and I would go out and try to raise. So the whole time I was raising those first 3 years, and then up until this morning, I am also doing outreach to founders, and now things have changed a bit. Now it's more 90-10%, so it's 90% inbound and 10% out. Right. But it was before, it was 90% me just being my own roadshow, basically, and looking for things.
So that's a great transition. So you refer to it as being on tour, right? You're on tour right now. So talk a little bit more about how that's going and how you're seeing that, because that's a different approach than most.
Well, so I used to be a production coordinator and a tour manager for musicians. Oh, okay. So I have that in it's kind of since I was 21, the first thing I ever did at 21 in the music world was ask a Norwegian pop punk band in Norway if they would come to the U.S. and tour, if I could book a tour for them. Had no idea how to do it, had never met them, but I liked their music and I wanted to see them play live. So I did that. I did that for 2 summers in a row, and I built complete tours around it. And then I went from that to, which was a great time, to the last thing I did was Wembley Stadium with Will.i.am. So did that.
Yeah.
So I had that kind of in my bones.
Right.
And at the same time, if you think about, if my whole thesis is around, companies being underestimated, overlooked.
Right.
You can't just be in one city. In my opinion, you can't.
Waiting in your
city.
office.
Yeah. I mean, there's I've been in Silicon, and I hate to pick on them, so I'll pick on Boston too. I'll pick on New York. I'll pick on. I've been in these rooms.
I mean, those are the three biggest markets.
Yeah, and I've been in these rooms, and like literally, some of the guys, and they're mostly guys, will just have their feet, up on their desk, and I'm like, how are you?
Yeah.
How are you seeing everything? And even now that I've crossed over, right? I've crossed over to the side where I can get inbound. I can make my bread and butter on inbound, but I choose not to because that's when you lose your edge.
You miss stuff, right?
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't make sense. So I really like the vibe of people like y'all who are like moving around. And
I love it. Where are some hidden places? Jen, what's your favorite? Let's start here. Yeah. Where's your favorite place so far outside of those markets that you like to go? I mean, you're from Texas.
I don't have a favorite. I don't have a favorite. We just launched an accelerator. Launched it in 4 different cities because we didn't have a favorite.
It's hard.
And we're just getting started.
Okay.
So
what are the cities you're in right now?
Los Angeles is where I'm based. So we're starting in Los Angeles, Detroit.
All the Detroit fans are right here, in case you didn't notice.
Detroit.
That's pretty fun.
Philadelphia.
Okay,
anybody? Okay.
No Philly fans.
And London is the 4th city.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So Detroit was the 4th city actually, with a lot of support. That reaction is what we had online when we put out a vote for the 4th city, and we plan on expanding that in 2020 as well.
It's really phenomenal to see what that Detroit in particular has been doing downtown and how it's just revitalized itself, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, they're doing a great job, and we just want to be around to be part of it and to kind of make sure everybody's being treated fairly.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Awesome. There you go. That's good. All right, so do you want to talk anything more about the tour and how you where you're going with that, or
I'm on the road. Personally, I'm on the road. This year will be 300 days of the year, 300 out of 365.
And quite a bit.
It's a combination of the timing and I don't think I would be on the cover of Fast Company if I hadn't done that. Just kind of the momentum you build. It's also, we are going to the corners of the country and beyond to find companies, and not everybody can jump on a flight to these coasts, so we want to go to them. And then also, I had just really debilitating stage fright up until a year and a half ago. I wouldn't be able to be here. I've already been on the floor, rolling around.
I do want to do that, but I'm probably not going to.
Yeah, it's a nice floor. It's pretty
it looks nice.
But so once I don't ever want to say conquer because I don't know if I have, but once I get past that, I definitely don't want to take it for granted, and I know that people are listening, and I know that I have a responsibility. So as long as I can keep going, I have that privilege of being able to speak and being able to being able-bodied, and I'm going to continue to do that.
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about the Venture Studio, because that's different. That's a little unique and brings another approach that's different.
Yeah, so we launched Backstage Studio at the very end of last year. That there's a whole story there, but it was what enabled us to grow the way we have. Like a year ago, this month, a year ago, we would have been at 7 people, and now we're at 22 core, and then 8 or so at the accelerator. Okay. So the studio is kind of the model. If you're familiar with BetaWorks on the East Coast, or Science in LA, or Pioneer Square Labs in Seattle. The model basically is we're a little bit of an agency because we do take on clients and do things for them, but mostly we're building companies and initiatives within Backstage that we, taking the talent that we have internally and then partnering with other bigger companies on. People have come to us. They want something specific for their company. We have really diverse talent, and can we look at it from a different lens? And so it's been pretty fun, and it's been enabled us to grow.
is that where the podcast stuff lives as well? Or where is that?
Podcast kind of lives in the
world.
Floats. Yeah, because it started off as like just an idea that I had, and then we launched it, and I just think it's just Backstage. So that's why we kind of name everything Backstage ... because it just represents us.
Everything we're doing.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about podcasting too, because you've been on Gimlet Media, right? You're a startup.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit how that got started and how that's helped or not helped
So the Gimlet thing. So Gimlet Media has a flagship podcast called Startup, and
with a big UP, right? It's like spelled differently.
I think so. Sure.
Yeah, capitalize it. I've noticed that.
Yeah, I think so. And they actually changed. I'm a big fan of purple, which is why all my shoes are purple. They actually changed the color of their design for the season while I was on
cool.
it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. But in April and May, I was the subject of 7 episodes
quite a few,
of it, and it's really highly produced. It's things have been turned into TV shows with Zach Braff and with Juliet. What's her name? Julia Roberts.
Yeah, I've heard of her.
What's her name?
Juliet. That sounds vaguely familiar. I don't know where I heard it.
But they spun out things like that, and I don't know where my show is.
It's coming.
But they got in touch with me last October, I think, and I honestly, because I just kind of, I saw it on my calendar and I was like, oh, cool, they're going to do like an episode, record a podcast. That's
I'll join and talk about stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Yeah.
And they, no one had told me that they had come back to this model of having a full season of about one person. So I didn't.
Surprise!
I think that was to my benefit because I had no idea. I was just talking and just having, and they chose me and they followed me for about 6 or 7 months, and it was pretty.
That's a lot that's a long time.
So on our own podcast, The Bootstrapped VC, which you can find anywhere, iTunes, etc., and on our website, backstagecapital.com, we reply to every episode. So there's some, the first couple of episodes, honestly, were so beautiful to me. They were just really well done, and everybody was firing on all cylinders, and so I can never disparage those episodes, and further, parts of the rest of it. I just found some of it to be, it was a little tough. Like imagine someone's following you for 7 months. They call like hundreds of people that like hundreds.
I mean, it'd be just even tough on getting now an Uber or Lyft. Now I need a bigger one because there's all these people following me. Like that'd be difficult.
Right. Sure.
Yeah. I can see how that'd be.
Yeah, I'm catching your. Okay.
Hang with me. Come on. We got it.
No, it was. They kind of just had access, and so I think the people that worked on it were really phenomenal, and I think some of the decisions that were made, some of their editorial decisions were not on point in my opinion. So it's interesting to listen to see what I'm talking about, because if you listen to it and then you listen to our replies to it, you really get. And then actually, if you don't want to even do that, the very last episode is me talking on stage with the person who followed me and kind of giving my take on it.
So
it's like any kind of reality show. Like they can do whatever they want.
Right, they can pick an angle and go after it. Whatever's going to be the most popular. I mean, you see that in the media. You see that everywhere. It's
so it wasn't soups accurate.
Right.
But I mean, especially those first 2 episodes really captured this. I had people who have known me my whole life, or people who have known me for like 5 years, call me after the 2nd episode and say, I had no idea it was that bad. I had no idea you went through that.
Right.
And so that for that kind of capsule of what happened, I will always be grateful for.
Right. Oh, great. That's really interesting. So if you haven't, check it out. You all have phones, I assume. You can download it. So let's move on to the raising a fund. I mean, you mentioned you didn't have a financial background to raise a fund, but you wanted to do it, and you willed yourself into the industry, really. I mean, it's pretty
according
phenomenal.
to Fast Company, I muscled my way into the boys' club.
Exactly.
I wish.
And there's and so basically, what was the most surprising thing about that? Because that's not. I'm sure you heard 1,000 no's, right, to get to the first. Supporter, and then obviously that was a really big swing.
I don't know. I guess maybe just people, the kind of cluelessness that people had, and some still have, of how other people live.
They're totally out,
just so out of touch, and all it takes is honestly like the same curiosity that they have when it comes to Bitcoin, or the same curiosity it has when it comes to autonomous cars. Just do some reading and some research. These really, really intelligent people just being completely having a blind spot and not caring to change that. That's really
interesting, and you do see that. And its question is like, how can they become? What should they be reading? What should they be seeing to be able to be more real and understand the full picture?
I certainly meet with people and they can pay me to tell them. Seriously. But I would say, in general, paid or not, there are a lot of people who have that information. Like, go out and have consultants, go out and have people, have dinners, invite someone to a free dinner that's nice, the same way you would for any other kind of business arrangement, and just have conversations. Like, I think there's a lot of value in saying, look, I know that I don't know everything here. Can the person that I know in my life who may have access to more women or more, who are thought leaders here, and people of color, can we put on a little bit of a intimate dinner and have a conversation, have a salon about it? There's great value in that, and it doesn't take much. And you get to eat and you get to drink, and just
exchange ideas.
Do more listening than you do talking, and you'll get a lot out of that.
Okay, that's a great suggestion. Okay, and also, so let's go into so when you raised that so you got $36 million fund, is that right?
We launched the $36 million.
Recently. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And that one is focused specifically on investing in a certain type of company. Yeah, that's great. But the companies, are there any company like
agnostic? Specific? So we've invested in 100 companies, $25K to $100K
all black
each.
Women founders.
No. We've invested in 100 companies, $25K to $100K each, that are led by women, people of color, and LGBTQ.
And then now there's
there's a separate fund that we've launched.
That's what I was trying to get to.
It will invest $1 million at a time in black women-led companies.
Amazing.
There's a little bit of ambiguity around the fund itself. I'll just say that you'll hear some announcements by the end of the year.
We'll be listening. Perfect. All right. So as you were doing that, and as you've been a part of this now for a few years, 3-4 years now, right?
September 2015 is when I got the first LP.
Okay. So what have you seen in that time, like that amount of time, as far as the investment community out there? Is there positive change? Is there negative change as you're going out and continuing to gather support and raise funds?
Yeah, it kind of it got worse before it got better.
Okay.
And then last year, when a lot of things happened and shook things up in the entertainment world and in the VC world.
And VC, the world.
And those two, I mean, then it got really bad, but then it started to heal a little bit. You still have, there's less money that went to women in 2017 than went in 2016. So that's stupid. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? It's insulting. But I do think I'm optimistic. I don't think I could do what I'm doing if I weren't eternally optimistic.
I mean, that sounds like more opportunity for you as you invest. Like that, if they're not investing, well, shoot, that doesn't.
Say that again.
That gives you more opportunity to invest if they're not getting investment from other folks.
It does, but it's not. It would be if we had hundreds of millions of dollars under management and we could capture everything. It's still we're a drop in the bucket. I don't even know if we can even count as a drop in the bucket with our capital compared to how much there is. And so it isn't like, oh well, they're not doing it, we got this, we're good. It is they need to figure it out. Some people need to figure it out who have more access to capital, and then eventually. And as soon as possible, we will be in that position where we can take an entire round.
That makes sense. And so there's still an opportunity to continue to raise and continue to offer more opportunity for startup founders. And there's not enough money, basically.
Oh yeah, ton of value. I look at this as the first just couple of good years of a decades long situation.
Right.
And we were talking before about how you saw all of these companies super early. You saw Groupon, and you saw all these
Grubhub and Uber.
Uber. You saw them so early, but think about a way to think about it is like, just imagine that right now, those companies are being built by people who are not straight white men. Some of them, not all. Some of them. And if you can be part of that story today, what happens in 10 years? What stories do you get to tell in 10 years? Yeah, no, it's exciting. And there's even some of the folks that are in this room that were here this week. There's some phenomenal people here and startups that they could be the next. Maybe one of those. So that's exciting to me. Okay, what excites you about the entrepreneurs you're seeing out there on tour? I mean, I can't overstate how much they can do with so little. On all scales, and I'm not just talking about people who are who have a nice, cute, junior high science fair thing going on.
There actually was one of those outside.
and I'm no shade to junior high science, but I think when I say that, sometimes people just automatically, when I say people, I mean white people. I think they immediately think, oh, it's like a cute thing over here. I'm talking about the potential for hundreds of billions of dollars, if not billion-dollar companies that are just being completely disregarded and not being taken seriously.
Want some more?
I will. Thank you.
Okay. I can open it if you want.
That's all right. Not being taken seriously and. I mean, in that way, when I'm just thinking about this from a venture capitalist point of view, and it's just, I forget the part where I'm black and gay and a woman.
Right.
The part where they're doing so much with so little. Is super exciting when it comes to what those returns could possibly look like with the right amount. Now, see, the problem comes in though is with that follow on and with the where do they go? Something that keeps me up at night sometimes is, are we building a bridge to nowhere with these investments?
We talk about that sometimes too.
Because there needs to be more to it, but we'll see.
Because you're seeing what you're seeing, and I think what you're talking about too is you're seeing some of the classic investors that would be investing at the earlier stages now moved up the chain because of the economics of it. They've now raising billion-dollar funds, and they have to write bigger checks, and they're not going to write bigger checks the first money in. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of different things. I mean, I think also part of it, because I studied VC so intensely.
What did you I'm curious, before we go any further, what was the thing that made you learn so much about it?
Okay, I'm talking 4 solid years of every single day of my life teaching myself with books, with blogs, with video, with interviews, with meetings, with emails, and with many conversations with lawyers, accountants, professors. I'm talking you
did your own.
I did my own homeschool VC program. Absolutely.
That's amazing. Okay.
So it's not just I can do. I can tell you though, a good place to start would be for founders and for investors. Probably half the room has read Venture Deals by Brad Feld. It's a really great place to start, and it'll tell you what part of the equation you want to be. I think. I also will say that every book that I read, every single one, which was many, was written by a white man, and I intend on changing that too.
All right. You heard it here first. I think that's important. All right. How are we doing? We're doing good. So you also are incredible. We talked about this earlier. You're incredibly active on Twitter. Incredibly. That takes time. It's and I just want to understand.
Not really.
Well, it
doesn't really take time. No.
Okay. Well, your fingers have to get tired.
No, it doesn't take time. It's actually really. I think it's funny because a lot of people. Sometimes people on the internet can say whatever they want to you. Right. So some people write to me and they're like, I saw you tweeting, so why didn't you respond to my email? First of all, let me tell you what you're not going to do.
That's number one, right?
Second of all, honestly, as trolly and as soul-sucking as Twitter can be, I find it to be cathartic for me because I can say my piece on it.
Right.
And it also, if you combine the minutes that I use for Twitter in a day, it's probably 12 minutes compared to the 12 hours of work that I'm doing.
Right.
So I don't know if it takes a lot of time.
I was just going to say, how do you keep up with that and everything else? Is it?
It really, it's just kind of like I'll look at it and I do try to see everybody's comments.
Yeah.
And but the DMs will pile up and I'll get to it when I get to it. And it's I believe in self-care for everyone. I think everyone should have boundaries and their own rules that they kind of abide by as long as they're doing no harm.
But I guess the other thing I want to focus on was that you've done some really cool stuff on Twitter to you're very giving. Let's talk about your mini investment contest and some of the programs you've created through Twitter. I mean, that's helping people instantly.
I got a lot from Twitter because I got almost every single employee at least had some start on Twitter.
Okay.
Chacho is here. Where's Chacho?
Where is he? Over there.
We met on Twitter. He did a really good job. He was working in retail a year and a half ago.
Oh, wow.
He's on the road with me all the time. So he's an associate at Backstage. So it's given me a lot, definitely. But, I think, so that started, Christmas last year, I was on, I think it was Christmas Eve, I was on Twitter, and I was off, so I was sort of had a little time. And I just thought back to, I think before that I had done this thing with $50. I thought back to 3 years prior to that where $50 would had helped me and my mom eat for a week.
Right. Yeah.
It would have been $50 in my PayPal. Man, that would have been so
amazing.
helpful.
Yep.
And so I was like, hey, somebody tell me a small gig they'll do for $50. If you want to design a logo or if you want to do this thing for social media for us, and we'll pick a few people and do it. So I did that with a few people, and that was so rewarding.
Yeah.
And that was fun. So then at Christmas, I was just in the giving spirit, and I said, somebody tell me something that would be help your career or help your hobby or help your passion.
Right.
That costs $300 or less. Link me to it, and I'm going to choose some people and just get it.
Right.
So I did that, and I thought it was going to be a bunch of hidden ways to get some cool stuff, right? But really, I got this book will help me, or and it was less than $300.
Right. Yeah.
If it were me, I would have been $299. I'll cover the
on
tax.
sale is $299.
But people were sending me things here, this Adobe tutorial for $124 will help me. Go to the next step in a month rather than 6.
Right.
And so I started seeing those, and I started buying things, and once I saw what happened, the few weeks later, people started sending me, I got this, and this is what I got from it, and this is what I did with it.
The follow-up
I was like,
story.
oh, that's really cool.
That's
so
cool.
when, so my father passed away a couple of years ago, and we weren't close, but I was his only child, and I received his modest home in Jackson, Mississippi, and after a couple of years, I decided to sell it. And so when I sold it, I had a certain amount of money. It wasn't a windfall, but it was a few $1,000 bucks. And so I was like, hey, on Twitter, hey, so I got this inheritance basically. I want to give away $5,000 by granting 10 people $500 for your passion because it had been so cool at Christmas.
Right.
And we it got so many responses. And then Alyssa Milano retweeted it, and then the woman who plays Grace on Will and Grace retweeted it. And so it got 1,500 responses, not to mention likes and all that, but responses. And the responses were incredible. People were working on things in a way, and it was just so beautiful. So I said, okay, here's a 10, and then people were donating more. So I started a nonprofit. And, it's called Cover, and I started it with Brian and Diane from my team.
Cool.
And now we grant $500 at a time. You can go to projectcover.org.
Very cool.
And you can apply. And we've done things there's a black woman who does cosplay, so she dresses up in her favorite costumes, and she wasn't able to ever really go to a big event, but she was so talented. She posted pictures of it, and so the $500 helped her pay for that event. And then while she was at that event, other people said, you got to come to this one. We'll take you to this one because she was that talented. So it's about finding talent in hidden places.
Right, and you offered the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, and then we have people who I just met this guy a couple of days ago in San Francisco. He said that he got like training that allowed him to become a consultant or do some more consultant on a higher level, charge more.
Right.
So he paid for his sister's law. What is it? What is it that when you the LSATs. He paid for his sister's LSATs through the consulting money.
Wow.
That he made by learning from cover.
Wow.
So like, it's
that's
incredible.
Impact.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
Right. No, it's amazing. So that just shows that using Twitter is not just keeping up with the tweets. You're using it and you're creating things from it. It's actually
there's
channel.
a ton of stuff
like that.
Value on Twitter.
Yeah,
it's also even if it were just not that impactful, it would be okay because the impact that it has on my emotional health.
I was going to say psyche in general.
It's good.
Yeah.
When it's good. When
otherwise we'll just turn that off.
Yeah, when I'm being told to shut up and called fat all the time, that's another story. We'll address that in a different way.
Okay. Let's move on to the next. We got a few more questions and then we're going to... Oh, we're getting questions. Okay. I guess we're going to do some audience questions, it looks like. Okay, so one more question for me, and then I'll turn it over, because it seems like we have some hands shoot up. What's the X factor that kind of brought you to this point? Like, if you had to pick, like, one thing that was like, this is why this is all working.
Why this is all working.
Yeah, this is a tough question, I know.
It's a tough question.
Because there's a million things, but I know if you had to, like, point one...
It's a perfect storm, but it's also... We're in the thick of it, so it's hard to celebrate something working because we're in the thick of it.
Right. No, that makes sense. Let's just say to get you to this point with a fund and you're investing in companies and the right trajectory.
Honestly, to be completely honest, like the caliber of people that are involved.
Yeah.
So if you think about if I answer from my point of view, and then if I'm being the most honest, it's the caliber of the people, and it's also my ability to have seen that early, and to not care if other people were saying that wasn't true.
Right.
Like I gave away all of my Fs many years ago.
Right.
So there's no more to give out. And so people saying, so it is once you, again, I'm a big believer in following your voice and listening to your voice in a do no harm manner, because sometimes that can be, I'm just going to do it whatever I want. But I think having that conviction has served me well.
That's a great answer. I mean, there's so many things, right?
There's a lot, yeah.
Well, that was really interesting. I'm so glad that Arlan could join us last year from Backstage Capital. She is a force, as I mentioned, and doing good things. We wish her the best of luck, and we've actually invested in some of the companies, as we mentioned, that they have as well. So there's a lot of alignment in what they're doing with their investments and what we're doing with our micro funds to date, and what we're looking to do in the future. So super excited to have her this year. Lori, we have somebody from Backstage Capital as well. Who's joining us this year?
We do. We have Anastasia Tarpe Ellis. Hope I'm pronouncing that properly. And she is from the Backstage Capital Los Angeles office.
And that's their accelerator out there. So very cool. Excited to have her join us as well. And really looking forward to our summit. Again, we couldn't do it without the support of all of our partners, but this year, especially in Memphis, StartCo, which is based out of Memphis, has brought us down there, and obviously want to give them a big thank you and shout out as we get ready to head down to their homeland in Memphis, Tennessee, and looking forward to everything we're about to do down there. Anything else, Lori, that we should add about the summit that's coming up?
Please thank you to StartCo. They've been supporters of the program over several years now, and it's just a privilege to be working with them in Memphis and partnering with them on this event, which could not happen without them. So thank you to StartCo and everyone that's made time to come and join us in Memphis for this summit. It's just going to be amazing.
And finally, let's wrap this up. Lori, are we excited about some Memphis magic or what?
Definitely. Memphis magic.
I know. It's going to happen soon.
I got my plane ticket. I'm ready to go.
We're ready to go. We'll be there soon. Everyone, if you still want to join us, go to summit.startupofyear.com. Check out everything about the summit. There's still time to get tickets. There's plenty of availability in Memphis for staying down there in the city. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you never know who you're going to run into. It's going to be great. We're going to be walking in Memphis soon. Again, thank you so much for listening. This is episode number 12. I'm Frank Gruber, along with Lori Thiel.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Startup of the Year podcast. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll be back with another episode soon.